morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to talk about a card, or a pair of cards, in fact. Mostly one card, but a pair, that are getting absolutely ridiculous over in Japan. I did tell you that we were going to have to take some time in the not too distant future where we do have to talk about this. And what we have to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is Miriam. And I said this in other videos, but I don't get why Miriam. Miriam doesn't make a huge amount of sense to me. Like, Penny, I get. Penny is a very relevant character in Scarlet and Violet. If you played the games, you'll know. Miriam really isn't. Miriam's the nurse. And I mean, it's lovely, but Miriam's a school nurse. I think it's fair to say that she's not exactly a pivotal character when it comes to the card game. And yet, for whatever reason, we're seeing Miriam, the cards, go absolutely ridiculous. So we need to have a look at exactly how much it's worth, where the trend is going, and how this compares to other popular female supporters we've seen lately, because let's face it, that's where a lot of these end up going. So, starting off with Miriam then, what do we see? Well, an easy thing to do, it's not always the best, but an easy thing to do, is head on over to Card Rush. Card Rush is a website over in Japan where you can buy singles, and it's not usually quite the cheapest place to buy, but it is a very convenient website where you can just go and buy a whole bunch of singles. It's pretty cool. And over there right now, the Special Art Rare of Miriam, the fancy version, is selling for 72,800 yen. That is a huge amount of money. A ridiculous amount of money. You are talking somewhere in the region of $560 and £450. That is a redonkulously expensive card. Now, I will say it has finally just started falling down in price. Last time I showed this to you, it was 74,800 yen, so it's dropped by 2,000 yen. It's not exactly plummeting or anything silly like that, but it has started to go down in price, which is lovely. But like I've said, Card Rush is a good start. It's not necessarily the be-all and end-all. So let's go and have a look over on Mercari. This is a nice place to go and have a look. Now, it's basically like eBay. Over in Japan, generally speaking, it's Mercari over eBay. eBay is there. eBay is used. We've reported on eBay on this channel a bunch. But generally speaking, when you're buying cards, you're talking about eBay. No, Mercari. Literally just said Mercari. And here's a nice little bit of a snapshot. And what we can see here is around 70,000 yen. There's a 78,000 and a 72,000 and an 84,000 that haven't sold. But we got sales there of 68,000, 67,000, 70,000 and 66,000. Little bit of rounding, obviously. So it's fair to call this about a 70,000 yen card. So okay, fine. The 72,800 on Card Rush was a tiny exaggeration, but only a tiny bit. And again, I've told you, the whole point of Card Rush is big business, selling lots and lots and lots and lots of cards. It's a nice kind of one-stop shop. It's not the individual selling cards over on Mercari, which is why Mercari is more awkward to buy from, and you're more likely to have issues, but you can get yourself a better bargain. Kind of like buying on a shop, as opposed to buying on eBay. So this kind of makes sense, but it's still a very, very expensive card. Now, the other Miriam we see is the Full Art, and the Full Art has made it to 36,800 yen. As a side note, these are still, by a bit of a margin, cards 1 and 2. In terms of value from Scarlet and Violet, they're still cards 1 and 2. They are very clearly 1 and 2. It's not like there's another one that's just like, right there tied with it. No, these are very much cards 1 and 2. And 36,800 yen, you're talking around about $280 or £230. Still not terribly cheap. Comparing to the last time we saw it, last time it was 39,800. So, like we saw with the Special Art Rare, it has started to come down a tiny bit. Not very much at all. We're talking a very small percentage, but it has at least started to fall down, 1/13-ish lower than it was last time. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but we have started to see a little bit of a fall. And if we go and have a little bit of a look over on Mercari, now annoyingly you get loads of close when you search for Miriam 100, because that's what number card it is. But I found a nice little run here, which is basically 3 sold in a row for 33,000 very, very recently. So just like we saw with a special art rare, and just like we would generally expect, yes, you can save yourself a little bit of money going on Mercari, but again, it's less, less protection, less guarantees, all of that. So fine, that is about right. Card Rush is a little more expensive, that's what we would expect. But this is still crazy expensive for a new card. Way, way more expensive than we would generally be expecting. So now the question is, well, all right then, but how does this compare to some of the other sets we've seen lately and some of the other supporters? So let's take a look at Serena. Serena's one of those that came around quite recently. And as we look at the moment, over on Card Rush, Serena's sitting there rocking 57,800 yen. 57,800 yen is a lot. And to be fair, it's been around for a while. And Serena, we know why Serena's a popular character. It's your player character. Serena was always going to be very, very popular. You'll notice that 57,800 yen is significantly less than 72,800. And this is why I'm doing a video about how silly Miriam's got, even though we're seeing a very, very small drop in value for Miriam. Because this is ridiculous. Serena makes way more sense to be expensive than Miriam. Serena is a crazy expensive card, and yet Miriam blows Serena out of the water. For what it's worth, 57,800 yen, you're talking $445 or £360. But does Miriam blow Serena out the water? Because the special art rare does, no question there. But maybe the full art is a better comparison. And if we look at the full art Miriam side by side with the full art Serena, what we see is Serena wins, but by like more than 50%. Serena is significantly more expensive than full art Miriam. And I do think there's something in that. For what it's worth in terms of value for Serena, it is exactly what we would expect to see here. It is a little bit cheaper over on Mercari, although to be fair, there's a little bit more of a difference here. Here's a nice little run of 3 in a row, 2 that sold, one for 51,000, one for 48, and an unsold one for 46,000. I will say the unsold one at 46,000 looks kind of bent. It actually is. It's warping quite a bit. So you can kind of understand why maybe that one's not selling so quickly. Like I've said, Mercari, bit awkward. So it's a little bit cheaper. But I do find it very interesting that the special art rare of Miriam, significantly more expensive, but the full art Miriam, quite a bit cheaper. And another one we've seen quite recently, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm showing you 2 that I've pulled. That wasn't deliberate, but let's just go with it. Hey, I pulled Gloria as well. And Gloria comes in, this is the one from VMAX Climax, comes in at 37,800 yen. I think it's fair to say a very, very, very expensive card, a very sought after card. This was my box of VMAX Climax that lovely Antoine Boulet opened for me in Japan. Kind of did an opening where I commentated, and Antoine was lovely enough to do the opening. And I wasn't that excited when Gloria came out. And then it turned out Gloria is, by quite a wide margin, the literal, actual best card in the set. Literally like twice as much as the next best cards. Gloria is far and away the best card in VMAX Climax. Basically, I need to go back in time. I should have been more excited. But 37,800 yen, you're talking around about $290 or around about £235. And if we put this side by side with Miriam, what we see is that full art Miriam is a tiny bit less, and special art rare Miriam is a huge amount more. So actually, full art Miriam is doing about what we would expect. It's fallen below Gloria. A couple of days ago it was above. And it's fallen down quite a bit below Serena, which we would expect. And if this keeps falling a little bit, this is going to be a, like a top tier, a very high tier full art female supporter card. But it's not going to be up there with the ridiculous ones like Serena. But the Special Art Rare is still a million miles above. And what does this tell us as fans of the Pokémon TCG? It tells us that I think there's now a new category. Now, the good news is not all of them have done this. Now, let's be clear, we're still talking about very, very expensive cards, but it's only Miriam. Miriam's the only one from Scarlet and Violet that has got absolutely full-on ridiculous. Penny is... Well, I'm going to be honest with you. If you look at the two Penny cards side by side, the full art is actually a bit more than the Special Art Rare as it stands at the moment. Actually, sorry, a very small correction. You'll see there that the Penny Special Art Rare is actually an A- copy, so the Special Art Rare is slightly more than the full art, but only very, very slightly more. I still can't afford the Special Art Rare, but it's Okacheke. One day I'm going to have to find a way to make it work. But the point is, none of the other Special Art Rares have done this. But one of them has. And I think that's basically what we're saying here, that this could happen again. If we have another very popular supporter who gets a Special Art Rare, and we got to assume Special Art Rares are going to go for all sets moving forward, this is probably going to happen again. It still weirds me out that it's Miriam, not Penny, that this happened to. Although, to be clear, I'm kind of delighted, because there's no way I can afford Miriam. Penny, there's a chance. But this is something I think we need to watch moving forward. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think about this. I want to know if you like Miriam, if you want this card. I want to know anything you want to tell me. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk Pokemon and card games and all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord and chat with us about anything you like. Doesn't have to be Pokemon. You can get bonus pods to answer all of your questions, and you can get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Andrew Kincaid, who I know is a lovely person, because they did help me out with one of my friend's kids for Christmas, hooking them up with a cool Christmas present. So, thank you to them for being a lovely person and for the support. But by far, the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.